A very good evening, distinguished guests, seniors, colleagues and dear friends. On behalf of IMA Gorakhpur and as the Scientific Secretary of IMA, I extend a very hearty and warm welcome to all of you to this scientific meet on critical topics like anemia, ABG, cardiovascular disease, COVID and cancer. I am very hopeful that this meeting will be exciting, educational and full of learning for each of us.
From KGMC in 1968 and MD Medicine from KGMC in 1976. He was ex-HOD in Medicine, Cardiology Department in LNM Railway Hospital, Gorakhpur. He has also done his training in non-invasive cardiology at Chennai and Delhi in 1992. He was also Chief Medical Superintendent in Varanasi and has chaired many national conferences in API many times. He has published many research papers in various subjects of medicine in API related publications and also under his guidance an ICCU and ICU was constructed at Central Hospital Gorakhpur. He has 30 years of experience in non-invasive cardiology. Thank you, sir, and I would like to chair the session for the same.
Thank you, Dr. Now I invite Dr. P.C. Shahi to give or not to give very interesting topic of cardiology and especially from preventive cardiology, because we are finding so many cases of ischemic, suspected cases of ischemic heart disease, that to give or not to give aspirin for primary prevention of CVD. Dr. Shahi is famous cardiologist of Gorakhpur. He has graduated from GSVM Medical College, Kanpur in 2003. He has done his LP from KGMC Lucknow 2007. He was senior resident SGPGI from 2007 to 2010. DM cardiology from RML Delhi 2013. He has been associated with the ESI, Basai, Darapur, Saroj Hospital, Bhagwati Hospital, Delhi, and he worked there as consultant cardiologist. Dr. Shahi received Colonel K.L. Chopra Award for Best Innovative Work in Interventional Cardiology in 2013. NIC Best Care Session Award in 2015. He published articles in many national and international journals and participated as an investigator in project Cardiological Society of India on patients of acute myocardial admissions in India during COVID-19 era. Now he is working at Pulse Heart Center, Vidyartha, Gorakhpur. Dr. Shahi, now I invite you to give your deliberation on that topic.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind introduction. So ये टॉपिक है प्राइमरी प्रिवेंशन ऑफ एस्पिरिन, जिसमें बहुत ही कंट्रोवर्सी है और बहुत ही डिबेट रहा है कि हमें जो पेशेंट जिनमें रिस्क फैक्टर्स हैं, डायबिटिक हैं, हाइपरटेंसिव हैं, स्मोकर्स हैं, डिस्लिपिडीमिया हैं, ओबीज हैं, सेडेंट्री लाइफस्टाइल है, ऐसे पेशेंट जिसमें मल्टीपल रिस्क फैक्टर्स हैं, क्या उन्हें हमें एस्पिरिन देनी चाहिए या नहीं देनी चाहिए? एस्पिरिन का रोल सेकेंडरी प्रिवेंशन में देखें तो इट्स वेरी क्लियर कट. 200 randomized trials have already proven that aspirin is of immense beneficial effect to prevent the future cardiovascular event in those patients who have suffered heart attack or stroke. But primary prevention में अभी तक कोई बहुत well proven कोई डेटा नहीं रहा है, बहुत well organized randomized control trial नहीं रहे हैं. और अभी recently 2018 में 3 major randomized trials हुए हैं जिन्होंने हमारी जो पर्सपेक्टिव है एस्पिरिन को देखने का उसको काफ़ी हद तक चेंज किया है और बहुत ही एक सॉलिड ग्राउंड एक पैदा किया है जिसके बेस पे हम अपने पेशेंट्स को प्रॉपरली एस्पिरिन के रिगार्डिंग हम एक डिसीजन बना सकते हैं. तो इन द नेक्स्ट 7 to 10 minutes how I will proceed my this topic. first I will discuss the basics of aspirin. How does it work? Because I think that it's very critical to remember that if you know how the aspirin will work, and many of us think that aspirin is an antiplatelet and it should act like that, it can prevent the future cardiovascular event. We assume that it will going to prevent the cardiovascular disease, and most of the time we are prescribing aspirin to our patients who are diabetic or hypertensive. So, but if you think how it really works, then probably you start questioning yourself. So next we'll discuss regarding the older guidelines, older data, the latest data and latest guidelines, and then finally the take-home points. So I think you all must be knowing that how we get heart attack. So this is the histology. Here you can see there is a plaque which is filled with a necrotic core, and there is a thin membrane which is covering this, and when this thin cap ruptured, the blood is exposed to this necrotic core, and there is a formation of thrombus which is platelet rich. So here we again think that if we are giving the antiplatelet to these patients, probably they are not going to get the cardiovascular disease. But what is the wrong with this theory? That you have to understand that aspirin only works when the plaque is formed and when the plaque is ruptured, not prior to this. And also it doesn't prevent the atherosclerosis. The atherosclerosis is going on. So this is the simple idea to understand. Another critical point to remember, that if you look at the aspirin mechanism of action, you have to look that these are the two persons in the vascular system. One is the bad guy, which is known as thromboxane A2, and another in the endothelium is the prostacyclin. So if you look at the working of aspirin, the good thing about aspirin, it blocks the cyclooxygenase and it blocks the action of thromboxane A2. But at the same time, it's also going to inhibit this prostacyclin. So this is not good. So because this prostacyclin is basically the inhibitor of platelet aggregation, and thromboxane A2 is a platelet, it promotes the platelet aggregation. So what is the current hypothesis? So how does it work that aspirin in low doses? What is the low dose? There are 3 doses of aspirin: low dose, middle dose, and high dose. Low dose is from 75 to 150 mg, middle dose is 150 to 325 mg, and beyond 325 is high dose. So at lowest possible dose, it has been seen that it is very selective and it blocks thromboxane A2 only. But when you increase the doses, it starts inhibiting cyclooxygenase 2 as well, where we are losing the benefit, because at that moment of time, it's stopping the action of prostacyclin, which is a good guy, as you have seen in my previous slide. So any patient, if you are going to give this medicine, aspirin, for primary prevention, you have to think on three lines. That it's going to certainly reduce the cardiovascular event, but at the same time, you have to remember that it's going to increase the risk of bleeding. And this risk of bleeding is proportional to the duration of dosing of aspirin, as well as the dosing, as well as it's always most of the time it's major bleeding. Also, the latest data and guidelines have seen there are basically low evidence data that it also reduces some cancer incidence, especially the colorectal carcinoma. So when you are going to prescribe this aspirin to your patient, how do these 3 factors come into the factor, and how do you make this decision? We'll see it one by one. So it's a busy slide, but the point to make here that the story starts from the 1974, when the first randomized controlled trial have shown its beneficial effect in patients who have suffered heart attack or stroke. And based on this, in 1985, the FDA approves this drug for secondary prevention of cardiovascular disease. So remember, it's only approved for the secondary prevention. So these are the other highlighted bullets. You can see that FDA never approves aspirin for primary prevention in cardiovascular disease. And in the year 2009, United States Preventive Services Task Forces came with its own guideline where it recommended that aspirin can be given as a grade A recommendation to patients who are middle age and men and slightly older females. But after 2009, there were certain trials, and after 2014 and in 2016, this United States Preventive Services also watered down this indication from grade A to grade B, and here they have started talking about the individualized decision. You have to make individualized decision in every patient. You have to take their risk of ASCVD risk calculator, and if the risk is more than 10%, then only you can prescribe the medicine who are middle-aged. Also here they have not included those patients who are less than 50 or more than 70. So there is always a controversy. So here we are up till 2016. So what was the problem with the older study? That the diagnostics of the cardiology was not very well advanced. The statins were not there at moment of time. So we came with the 3 newer trials. These are the ASPRE, ASCEND, and ARRIVE. So how to remember this? ASPRE ends with double E, so it was done in a different population. It was the most of the time it was more than 70 years of aged patients. So it was done in elderly patient. ASCEND ends with D. It's just easy way to remember. It was done in a subgroup of diabetic patients. And ARRIVE, we don't have any good way to remember, but it was done in patients with higher risk of patients, those who are having 4 or 5 risk factors. So let's quickly review these trials. So ASPRE, it selected basically those patients who are more than 70 years of age. And here you can see that they have assessed the all-cause mortality as well as dementia and disability. And here they have found that aspirin was literally no different than placebo. And also at the same time, they have noticed that there was an increased all-cause mortality and cancer. But it was not properly explained. Some people say that you need to have aspirin for more than 4.7 years to look for the beneficial effect. So based on this, essentially it was a trial to look at the elderly patient, and based on the ASPRE trial, it's essentially you cannot prescribe aspirin for primary prevention in those who are more than 70 years of age. So this was ASCEND trial, a lot of patients, well done studies, and they have shown some reduction in cardiovascular endpoint, say it's 12%, but the risk of major bleeding was quite high, it's 29%. So here again, the risk is more than benefit. So again, you have to individualize the treatment. You cannot automatically write to each and every diabetic patient the aspirin for primary prevention of cardiovascular disease. So finally, this ARRIVE trial, which was done in patients with very high risk, risk factors. Say all these patients are having more than 3 risk factors. They were diabetic, they were hypertensive, they were smokers, they have dyslipidemia. And the last line is the final verdict that use of aspirin here also needs to be individualized. You cannot write each and every individual for primary prevention as an aspirin. So this was up till 2016. We have seen that it was grade B recommendation for intermediate group of patients. And based on this trial, we have the latest guideline, 2019, probably because of the COVID, we have just missed this guideline regarding the primary prevention of cardiovascular diseases. And in 2019, the guidelines has been updated, and here you can see that it was a very weak recommendation. Even for those patients who are 40 to 70 years, you have to risk calculate. Also, you have to assess their bleeding risk. And how will you assess the bleeding risk? It's very simple. You do not have to go for various risk calculators. You just look at the patient's hemoglobin and their platelet count. If they are low, please do not prescribe this medicine based on their individualized risk factors. So if the risk factors, individualized ASCVD risk, if it's less than 10%, then you should not prescribe aspirin. And also it says that here you can see that it's not recommended for patients who are more than 70 years of age. So it's a very universal acceptance by the guidelines that it's going to produce some harm. So you should not prescribe these medicines. So these are the guidelines. So as the evidences are coming out, the recommendation against aspirin in individuals older than 70 years old, there is a weak recommendation even in the age group of 40 to 70 years. So the take-home point is, get the risk factors, what you can do to prevent the cardiovascular disease. So you have to control the risk factors basically. Cut down the smoking, cut down the, control the blood pressure, control the dyslipidemia with moderate to high intensity statins. These are the better strategies which can prevent the future cardiovascular events, not the aspirin. And do not prescribe aspirin to those who are more than 70 years old for primary prevention. And those falling between 40 to 70 years, you have to calculate the ASCVD risk. If it's falling more than 10%, and if the patient is having low bleeding risk, then only you should prescribe aspirin. And always you have to try your best to reduce the GI risk for bleeding. Cut down the patient's alcohol, cut down the NSAIDs intake, give enteric-coated and right doses of aspirin. And what is right dose of aspirin? The lowest possible dose. Lowest possible is available is 75 mg only. And treat H. pylori to cut down the risk of GI hemorrhage. So I'll stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shahi. A very interesting topic, and as physicians, we are facing this problem very frequently, that we should give aspirin as a primary prevention or not. Now I request the audience for any questions, any queries about the aspirin.
Any recommendation for diabetic patient? 70 के more than 70 के ऊपर तो नहीं देना है, लेकिन 40 से 70 के में कोई स्पेशल इंडिकेशन फॉर डायबिटिक, because the diabetes is increasing very fastly.
Yes, yes.
So as we see, a lot of patients are seen by physicians, diabetic patient, and this is a consciousness, or you can say the diabetic patient having low risk, having chest pain, either it is typical or atypical. Everyone prescribing aspirin with statins.
Basically, for primary prevention, you always have to individualize the treatment. You are supposed to calculate the risk of patient. There are good calculators. You just download the Medscape app. There are calculators in cardiology. You just take the ASCVD calculator and you have to put the patient's age, gender, different cholesterol profile, if the patient is hypertensive, if the patient is smoker, and based on these calculators, you can get the proper score. If the risk is falling between 10 to 20%, you can, if the bleeding risk is less, then you can certainly prescribe aspirin for sure. But if the bleeding risk is high and the risk is falling below 10%, then you are not supposed to give aspirin, even in those patients, until unless you diagnose there is a definite CAD. CAD means chronic stable angina, acute heart attack, stroke, peripheral vascular disease, symptomatic. Non-critical disease is not coming into that CVD. Asymptomatic patients are not being prescribed. You have to optimize the statins, you have to control the blood pressure, you have to give a proper lifestyle indications to the patients.
The patient is having angiogram. What is the level you prescribe the aspirin?
More than 70%. More than 70% is hemodynamically challenging, that hemodynamically वो flow को वो disturb करता है, तो 70% से ज़्यादा stenosis है, then only you can prescribe.
Less than 70% without any low risk category in the scoring system. There is no.
I think you have to just control the risk factors at that moment of time. If the patient is asymptomatic, then probably you should not prescribe, because these trials have already shown that these patients are having their coronary artery calcification also in a high range, but they also were not benefited a lot with this medicine.
Most of the coronary care units, you recommend that once the promiscuity patients are somewhere, they develop the coronary occlusion, and they are being referred to or transferred to or transmitted to the coronary care unit. They recommend that aspirin 300 to 600 milligrams should be dissolved in water and given to the patient. That's what you can do. Is it correct, or there is some recommendation?
So there is a loading dose of, we have to give loading dose of aspirin, clopidogrel and statins in these patients who have developed acute coronary syndrome. And the loading dose starts with the 325 mg to have its quicker onset of action so that we can get the maximum benefit.